firm establish. So my guests and I bring you messages to establish what you need to know in the present. And also, I like working with angels and the calmness they bring. Now, in a moment, I will introduce you to my wonderful guest, Susan de Vriend. But before that, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching the show live at a later date, as it means a lot to me to connect with like-minded women. Now, if you've never met me before, then my name is Rae, and I love to help women to crossroads in their life, heal their past, create their future, and transform their present so they can take charge of their destiny in the here and now. I'm the founder of Radiant Angel Energy, and I use future life progression, past life regression, angel oracle cards, angelic reiki, guided meditation, hypnosis to help women who feel lost get clear on their reason for being here. I've also created several transformational journeys, a journey through lifetimes, as well as a 6-week guided meditation series to help you take charge of your destiny. Now, each episode of the show covers various themes of your journey, a mini guided meditation or angel card reading, with the wisdom of my wonderful guests, like today's guest, Susan de Vriend, who'll be talking about those feeling and ideas that you may be more intuitive than you let on, and what it would be like just to be yourself and bring back this very special part of you into your business and life. Now, Susan is an American Dutch woman who followed her heart and moved to the Netherlands. During her transatlantic migration, she realized who she really is and pursued a career in life coaching and eventually became an internationally certified coach and Reiki healer who is running her own online coaching and healing practice. Susan shows highly sensitive, empathic women the way back to their psychic and intuitive abilities by opening the door to their gifts through acceptance and compassion. Susan says, believe in yourself and the magic will follow, which is at the core of her work. She sees herself as a way shower, coach, light bringer, mentor, and idea generator, a vision strategist, which all happens when she and her client create a sacred space of trust and honesty. This way, Susan can help her clients see themselves as they truly are, with gifts included. When she's not coaching, you can find Susan singing back up in the shower to one of her favourite golden oldies from the 60s, 70s, and sometimes the 80s. Reminiscent of the times she was a real backup singer with a local spin off band. Sounds interesting. Telling a good joke or story and dancing like she was on stage with Beyonce. Now, with testimonials such as this session with Susan was deep, emotional, intriguing. As someone new to this field, I didn't know what to expect, so I came in trying to keep an open mind. We started with a lovely meditation and pull cards. It was so interesting as deep memories and emotions popped up as we progressed. And Susan was very intuitive, sharing insights, asking questions to go further. And I found it a very meaningful emotional experience and can only recommend working with Susan for anyone who wants more insight into life's emotions and next steps from a gentle spiritual perspective. So, without further delay, hello, Susan, and welcome to the Angels and Destiny show. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. Hello, Ray. Thank you for having me here.
You're welcome. So, before we get into this conversation, which I think is going to be really fascinating, I want to remind you that not only can you can you share this video, but you can also ask questions, leave comments and thoughts, as both Susan and I want to be part of this conversation. So please don't be shy. And we're not doing card readings for individuals, for people. This is a talk show. That's going to be the show on Wednesday with Graham Williamson. So do check that out. So Susan, why don't you tell us more about your journey and when do we know it's time to actually come out of the spiritual closet?
Well, thank you. I'll tell you a little bit about my journey and give some insight on when you think it might be time. Because this is my story, and with learning how to step out of that closet, about 1995 is when I had my spiritual awakening. And it was an amazing event that started with just someone giving me permission. I had done something outside of the norm for me. And I'm just looking at the comments really quick. And it was a calling inside me that said, you need more information on what's happening. And it was just like this intuitive sense. I was guided to this woman who had this little spice shop along the road. and it was run out of a garage that she converted into a store, and it was floor to ceiling spices. And I had been there a couple of times with a few of my friends, but something told me one day, go here. She can help you. And so I went in, I walked around looking at the spices, smelling the, I mean, I was already starting to open the door on this by learning how to read tarot through a friend. And at this time I was in my early 20s. I didn't have much background in this world. My friend taught me a lot, and so it wasn't like absolutely new, all of these the tarot and mysticism and things like this, but being on my own was. And when I was in the shop, I don't know, I had the sense that she knew I was there for something else. So I did like a round, and I mean, I was really the only one there. So she said, is there something I can help you with? And I had picked 2 stones or something. And I was like, yeah, I'd like these 2 stones. And one was a tiger eye, and she was telling me what it was. And I knew nothing about any of this stuff. And then something in me said, ask, and asked for help or whatever. And then the words came out. Do you give readings? With nothing anywhere. There was nothing posted because this is the middle of the 90s. Pretty much we didn't have an internet.
Yeah.
But we were definitely not talking about this stuff. And it's very still behind closed doors. And she looked at me and she said, I don't advertise it, but yes, I do. And if you are interested, I'd be, willing to talk to you about how that works. And there was this sense of, I don't do this for everyone kind of thing.
Yeah.
Only when asked, because that's the world we lived in 1995. Now, I came for a reading. It was the only time I ever got a crystal ball reading. She was amazing. Like everything about that night was just filled with excitement and mysteriousness, but also a little nerve-wracking, right? Because I didn't know what I was getting into. And I'll never forget what she said to me, which was, you're an extremely gifted and powerful person, and you only need to believe in that. And to this day, I still have to hold on to that advice, because what we're able to do, we're not taught in schools. And after that moment, that permission, my world opened up. Like, things were happening. I mean, everything, like clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, all of my gifts came online, telepathy, just things and it was so exhilarating, but I didn't have a mentor. She gave me the gift of opening it up and then set me free. And I went down a really, really dark path at one point, because there is something to our spiritual awakenings that it's exciting and fun. And having these abilities all of a sudden come online. I mean, even talking about it, I'm getting a little excited, I would meet people at the right moment. I always had the right amount of money when I needed it. I never worried. It was a beautiful space. And then some other things arrived into my atmosphere, and it changed everything. And at that time, I didn't have any people to reach out to. And even though my friends and I were doing tarot cards, I kind of knew I moved a step beyond and didn't feel comfortable talking to them about it. And my whole world came down around me. I couldn't, I couldn't maintain it. And you're not really supposed to. You're supposed to have certain things. I know that 20 some plus years down the road. But what happened then was a series of events that brought me to a mental institution. And, it's not easy talking about that, because now we're getting into a whole nother place. But going back to that crystal ball reading, she did say, because we try to make sense of what's going on. This is normal because we've been raised in a very intellectual, knowledge-based
Yeah.
society who only, you know, we we serve at the altar of knowledge instead of this beautiful place of intuition. And so we have to have proof, we have to, test things out, and there's all kinds of greatness around that. Um, but without having a mentor or somebody to help me understand how to ground and protect and all these things, I was getting visits from different, entities that had no business being there.
Yeah.
But when you're open, you're open. And so, long story short, I ended up going through this whole 1 week voluntary stay. Didn't mean my gifts went away, but I sure sure made a mess of things. And one of the things that my reader said was, don't get this confused with psychology.
Mm.
I want to say psychology has evolved since 1995, but we still have things that we just don't understand. We
Mm.
just don't. And that's the mystery and beauty of life. So that's been my journey in the 90s. I went through that, and I shut everything down because I was like, well, I obviously am not responsible. I almost was labeled a schizophrenic. I mean, it was a big
Yeah.
traumatic separation. I had to just and to have a normal life so I could be in society. And I've seen stories online where it went the opposite way for people.
Mm.
Um, white, I'm American, middle class. I had a few things to help me get through that. Where if I had a different situation, a different background or ancestry, I'm
Yeah.
sure I would be labeled a schizophrenic and be on many, many, many drugs. That takes me away from me. I
Yeah.
just want to say, because I want to respect this situation. I'm not saying that everybody who's schizophrenic is just misdiagnosed. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
Because I definitely wasn't diagnosed as one, but I was doing so many things that they couldn't label,
Yes.
that I went through too many labels. And it really was my guides, and actually Jesus Christ was with me a lot. All the ascended masters, I called on them constantly because I didn't know what was going on. It was just like, and I didn't know the angels then. I just knew Jesus. I literally just went, "Come on." And
Yeah.
I got through that. Um, yeah, I got through that with their help, really, and I know the angels were a part of it, of course, but, without not having a map and
Yeah.
understanding, that's the place I was in. I shut the gifts down, but they were always there. And, you know, I made it to the Netherlands based on my intuitive hits. It's not my husband walked in the room and it was like a bright shiny light. I was just like, that's the guy. It's not like it's not like I, left my gifts behind, but they were extremely watered down from that time. And so that was that's, I'm still evolving. I'm still in my
Yeah.
journey, but it's taken a while. And in the last 2 years, I came out of the closet, the spiritual closet, and titled myself a heart whispering mystic because I connect through the heart. And whispering is like, I can hear what your heart wants to say. It's my own little fancy title for what I do. And I'm still learning. I learned I was an empath a few years ago. I learned I was highly sensitive when my friend was like, duh, just there's so much here to learn
Yeah.
and to understand and know. And I'm glad that I'm back. But
Yeah.
it took a while.
Well, I was going to say, because obviously when you got labeled with all this stuff, that, as soon as we label somebody, it doesn't matter, years later, you are still labeled with that's just the way we do. So, for you to actually come back and say, actually, no, this wasn't what it was, this
Yeah.
is what it was, is really a big deal. So kudos for you for actually doing that, and actually going, actually, no, I'm not going to stay behind this label that they gave me.
No. And that's tremendously difficult. Even in the situation, I was like, because the argument is so compelling. And they didn't tell me this. I learned this after I left the hospital. My mom told me, I think months later, or when I had to go through continued treatment, of course.
Yeah.
They decided that it was because I was still living at home. Like, really strange stuff came out of this therapy, and I was just like, "Oh, okay, they don't know, and we're just gonna move on." But my mom wanted me to know, and because it was fairly traumatic for her,
Yeah.
she didn't know how to be, and my grandmother was there at the time that everything took place, so there was a lot, and I was trying to express it when I was in the process of this total overtake in my, it was catalyzed by a few events. And when I returned home, they were like, "What's going on with you?" And I was telling them I was connecting with the other side, but I didn't say it that way. I was like, just giving them pieces. And to them, I know the only road for me was to get help because there was some things that I couldn't deal with. Right.
Yes.
And I didn't have there were no other roads. This was it. And so I have to say this part of it was my parents were scared.
Yeah.
And as an empath, I'm like, well, how do we fix that? Like this is
Yeah.
not good. And also I knew I can handle this. I mostly needed rest and I needed, help.
Yeah.
But um I don't know if I really got help there, but I did make it through. So
Yeah.
there's
But which is always good. So did you find a mentor in the end, or did you just do it all yourself with the help of your guides?
So over time, I have many mentors, and I'm at one today. Actually, it was amazing. And you and I have talked, and I see every person that comes into my life now is someplace that I can learn, even if
Mm.
somebody's coming to coach with me, because I've had a few women come my way, and I'm like, whoa, you are off the charts,
Yeah.
and thank you for being here, because I'm not telling them something they don't already know, but we're learning from each other in that space.
Yeah.
But I think it was unbeknownst to them, they were my mentors. So I didn't technically get one. I did through my coaching when I
Yeah.
went through coaching training. They were saying all these different words, but I knew we were connecting through intuition, and they did have a place of intuition on there in the method. That's why I was attracted to it. But those people, I mean, I could feel it's about giving permission. And there was one event in my coaching training that I'm like, that was allowed. And yeah, I don't know if I should talk about that, but anyway, it was a very my higher self stepped in. Like it was an amazing event. And my mentor or my teacher held the space. And I think that's how I see mentor. It's
Yeah.
not, I'm better, because mentor I feel like we could find another word for this, but
Yeah.
mentor usually means I'm lifting you up to where I am, and yes, but you're
Yeah.
lifting me up to where my soul wants to go, which may be higher than where my mentor is.
Yes.
Higher in the ascension process, if you will. And by them doing that, they're fulfilling their life purpose.
Yeah.
But it's such a funny kind of linear way of explaining it, right? And
It
it's
it
not
it
quite
is.
right.
Yeah, no, it is totally, yeah. Yeah, that is the thing, we hold the space for people to help them develop their own skills, their own talents.
Yeah.
And if they go on and do better than us, that's brilliant because that's what that's their path, that's what they're supposed to do.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like giving them the opportunity to spread their wings and go off and do what they need to do, and then they can go on and assist another person, and that person rises up, and then it gets to the snowball effect that soon everybody is kind of like living to their full potential.
Yeah. And that's the gift. You don't really it's such a different, I would say this is more feminine energy, is that, we're passing on maybe we're giving some, breadcrumbs and, pioneering and whatever in our own journey, but this whole helping other people move to helping hand, that's what Graham just said.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, exactly. It's not such a different in such a rewarding place. This woman today spent 2 hours with me and I could never yes, this is what we need to do and we love to do it. We just want to show up and help each other. That's how I feel. Anyway.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So how did you find had you been to the Netherlands before you moved, or was it just something, okay, let's do this because that's what I'm being guided to do?
Great question. Well, the first time I ever came to the Netherlands was in 1992. I came to Europe quite a bit when I was younger because I studied French and I had a few opportunities to live in France. Along the way, I met a Dutchman who one summer was like, "Come visit my family when you're in France." So that was the first time I had ever been there. And of course, I did Amsterdam and all of the tourist places.
Yeah,
Never really thought about it as a place for me to live. I was always such a francophone that I thought for sure I was going to live in France. And then life took me a totally different way for a really long time. And then I had a friend that I grew up with who moved to Amsterdam, early in the early teens, 2000s,
yeah,
whatever we call those.
yeah,
Somewhere in the 2004 range, she was there and I had just moved back home after a huge breakup and her and I were talking a lot and she was going to get married and I became her witness and she was doing a small like civil ceremony and I was looking to take a trip. I had quite a bit of money and I hadn't been to Europe since beginning of, before the
yeah.
millennia. So I decided, hey, it's time to get back over there. So the guy who was the witness for the groom and me are now married. And for him, it took him a little bit more time, but I met him the night I landed. And like I said before, when he walked in, I was just like, what? Because he has a huge aura and very confident, but not in a, you know, macho
Arrogant
way.
way.
Yeah. And I've had too much of that in my life. It was so reassuring to see that in a masculine form that it didn't, take me over. And I don't know. I tried convincing him for a while. And then eventually the magic happened and
You
then
chased him until he caught you.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. But we only had 2 weeks. And then when all of this magic turned on, we had 5 days and then it just kind of sped up and there was so many synchronicities between us and our families and the way we were raised and just it was really strange and I left that day to go back to the US to my little job in a small town. I did not want to go. It was a temporary job. And this is in 2008. Flew home. There were all kinds of messages, newsletter, newspaper saying, crisis has hit. Michigan, my state, it was a little bit before because that's where the automotive industry is.
Yeah,
So it was bleak when I moved back. I was like, "Oh, what did I do?" There's absolutely no jobs, and I'm living with my parents. Like life was blowing up all around me then. And so 2008, it was really getting bad. And I worked for a big company and I was a temporary. So I kind of saw the writing on the wall, like this is going to end. And I did. I got fired. And the next day he said, and this was totally not like him either. I'm sure he'll be tickled that I'm telling this story. Um, that he checked with our friends and everything. We did the right thing, and then he invited me to come back, and we did the 3-month thing. And it's just I've never lived with somebody, and things just we just work. So here I am
That's
12 years
it.
later. So that's really a follow your heart story. And all the doors opened because I remember making this comment to him. I don't really have to go back home. He wasn't ready for that. But then when I lost the job, he was like, well, maybe I am. I don't know. It was magical. And now we have a little girl, and you know, we've been here for, well, together, obviously, for 12 years. Still going.
Yeah, that's amazing. Graham says, "Scary Detroit is my mum's birthplace, and then me."
What do you mean, and then me? Oh, Detroit. Yeah.
Okay, we'll move quickly on from that. When you mentioned Detroit, it's like, okay, let's just bypass uh, Detroit. So, how do you think there's a lot of people, especially women out there, that do kind of like hide their gifts or think, "Do you know something, I really don't want to come out and show all this because people think I'm mad or I'm crazy,
Yeah.
or I won't get the fella."
Yeah. Well, yep. I meet a lot of women when they come to me. I know when I'm with someone, I can feel their gifts. I can sometimes see their energy. Not so much like, auras, but I can feel and sense it so much. And it's really, you know, you have to believe it first. Anybody can tell you, we can listen, I think you're this, blah, blah, blah. But the reason I think we all are going through that, that I'm still dealing with it. I said to you, there's things before this interview. It's like it does take some courage to show who you really are. And then there's this part. This is part of who we are, right?
Yeah,
But it's these words: psychic, medium. I'm working on the word witch right now.
I love the
They
word witch.
I do, I like it too. But, you know, we all have to come to the word ourselves. So medium was a word I was working on recently, and I'm like, I'm a medium. I talked to a ghost once. How do I nuts? Like we have to kind of
Yeah,
work through it because, like you said, we don't want to be labeled crazy, and that potential of being put into a mental institute. I mean, I know, I know what it's like, and it's scary because those people have the power to change the rest of your life with one word, you
yeah,
know? I'm so grateful I got out of that, but it's a real thing. And also, let's talk about centuries of persecution. That word witch.
yeah.
Yeah, it was put in place to, I mean, what the original word is, I like to think of it as wise woman or
Mhm.
somebody who's a practitioner of Wicca, you
Yeah,
know, who loves the earth and celebrates nature. And some point we got totally off track, and don't have to go down that lane for too long. I know people
no,
understand why. But I've been reading this book, Witch, and I'm like, oh my God, I knew this intuitively, of course. My family's from Boston, Massachusetts. I know I have roots in Salem and everything
yeah,
with the witch trials. But we know this anyway as women. You don't have to be directly connected to the witch trials or anything. As women, we've been persecuted today. Like we
yeah,
don't, and so for women, it's our greatest strength and and it can be our greatest worry, our greatest fear, because to really show up in our true power, it takes that courage. And I think we can lean into those things, take steps. You don't have to, I say in one of my copies, you don't have to come out as Queen Esmeralda of the night, and wear the
but
cape.
that's quite a, "Hi, I'm Queen Esmeralda of the
I
night."
mean, come on, Ezzy, we need you out here. But you don't have to do anything that's not natural to you because that's counterintuitive to you, and people will feel that it's inauthentic. And you know, there's all kinds of things that we could call ourselves, but you have to feel that that's right for you. And that's, I definitely, I get it. It's a journey. The word psychic is a journey too,
Mm,
because we think a psychic, I mean, society has molded psychic as this like phenomenon, and also we make psychics prove themselves, right? Oh, tell me my future. I had somebody do that to me once a couple years ago. Unfortunately, I did. I don't want to do that again.
no,
Because it was so off-putting coming from like, well, so and so sick. Can you tell me what's going to happen? And damn, I got it right away. And I am not somebody who can poker face. I have not. I am so like, you could just see this. Like
yeah,
my eyebrows are going up and I'm talking a lot with my face. I can't tell a lie. Once I get a message, it's I've learned it through my coaching training that not all messages should be told, but when put on the spot like that, now I know how to protect myself from that.
yeah.
But it was so like shocking. But that's something we've done with the word psychic. Oh, you've gone a little fuzzy. Are you still here? Oh, it's just
I'm still here.
okay. I was like, your screen went a little, and I'm like, oh no, I'm alone.
You're right, yeah, you're not alone, and we've got people watching as
Yeah.
well, so
Yeah, I see some comments here and just want to say hi to everybody who's here with us. Um,
yeah,
really appreciate
yeah,
that. But yes, definitely. I know that that is the biggest thing. And also, not only that, but trusting ourselves is the other roadblock to really coming out of the spiritual closet, so to speak, you know.
yeah. Yeah,
So,
and obviously, Graham here, obviously who I do the who the do the show with, who's watching, obviously is a medium, and he also does psychic work as well. But he's also a medical intuitive, and he said that you may be as well.
thank you.
So
We'll talk after the show, but he's hitting on something I just was thinking about today. So thank you for that, Graham. And that's something else I want to say is why would anybody need a mentor or anything? First of all, the main reason I felt called is because of what I went through.
mm,
I don't know the full depths of what was in my atmosphere. I just know it was dark energy.
yeah,
And that was enough to trip me up and start me on a fear path. And I got entangled with a lot of stuff that wasn't mine.
yeah,
And so that would be the number one reason why I would say get yourself a coach and a mentor if you're feeling like it's time to take that step. But also what Graham just did for me. We have lots that go on with our psychic abilities, and we do need to have somebody mirror it back to us or validate what we heard in our clear audience, in our psychic. I got so many affirmations from this woman I met today. And like I said, they're all my mentors, whether I
yeah,
hired them or not. So thank you, Graham. Now you are one of them. Um, because it literally was an idea I had today. So it's another way of getting confirmation, I'd like to
mm,
say, of
yeah.
something you already know.
Yeah,
But thank
and
you.
that's kind of like really how I work with the cards is most of the time when the cards come up, you already know this. I'm just confirming it for you,
Yep.
or the angels are confirming it for you. So, talking of cards and that, normally I offer a card to pull a card for my guests and those watching, or a mini guided meditation. But I thought I'd put Susan on the spot today and see if she wanted to pull a card for everybody who is watching. So, yes, over to you.
Oh, well, hey, thank you. So you just do one card, is that right?
I do one card for everyone who's watching
Okay.
and see what they need to know.
Okay. I'm going to ask you, I'm going to invite you a little bit into it.
Hmm.
And can you tell me which deck? Can you see them? It's a little bright. Well, just go left or right. Let's do that.
I'm going to go with left.
Okay. I'm glad I asked. Ooh, okay, this is a heavy duty one.
Did it just fall out by any chance?
It didn't go in, so sometimes I let the jumpers, but this one was like really. How many fall through, Rae?
Normally, when I'm doing it, a card will actually jump
Jump.
out or not go back in.
Yeah, I'm hearing that there might be more, but let's just start with this one.
Yeah.
I don't know how many you do, but I'm like,
Hey, you go with whatever your guy did. You go
oh,
with whatever your guy
oh,
did.
thank you. Okay, I'm going to show this card first. Now, how I usually do it is I show my client, but I know that we have an audience and everything. So I'm just going to show the card and invite you to kind of connect with the card energy first before I go into what it means. And this deck is Colette Baron Reed's deck, and it's a shaman. It's based on shamanism thought, and yeah. So there's the meaning of the card is self-sabotage and poverty consciousness. So it's so as you look at this picture right here, a lot of us are feeling a little down, and maybe I know I can resonate with this obviously, but we're feeling a little uncertain in all ways. And also with all the structures and things changing in the collective, it's really shaking up our own foundations. This comes to a place of monetary because we've been in a world where we are rewarded through money or crypto if you prefer. Um, but we're struggling with that and we're changing our ways of how we exchange. And those who are awakened and working on our inner, so this is what's coming in right now. Don't fret. This is going to be supported. We need to go through this stuff for ourselves on an individual level to clear out what no longer serves us. So those things that we learned as a kid, I'm not talking about math, reading, and writing. I'm talking about those downloads that we got to stay safe. We all need to peel that back in a way so that we can let our psychic abilities and our intuitive gifts shine through. And I'm getting a lot of energy coming in. There's a lot of support for us. There's a lot of guides, and the more that we trust this and more that we show up for each other in the way that I was explaining, highlighting each other's gifts and talking about this as a natural part of our human existence, the more we raise each other up into our fullness. Whew, there's just a lot coming through. I don't know. Rae, I feel like you have something to add to this. Do you?
No, but Graham says maybe bartering may return.
Yeah. 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 Well, I see that a lot already in my own experience.
Yeah. Then there's also a collective energy, especially with 2022 is going to be so collective. It's 2022 is going to be you can't be do it your alone. To thrive in 2022, you need to collaborate and be working with others. You can't just be in that mindset of me. You've got to.
Yep. And as you just said that, and they were like, get the first card. So I just went with it. And this card is, I'm just going to tell you what it is, the cosmos, creativity and vastness, which is all about abundance. So, this is always the lucky card because This deck has up and down meanings,
Okay.
and this one's always an affirmation. So the way I see this is what you just said, is that collaborative thing where it's things like this, the interviews, working together with either your mentor or your coach to bring something forward. That's a message I've been getting a lot too through my networks, is that collaborative is the way to go forward.
Yeah. And I also think as well, different therapies working together to complement each other,
Yes. Yeah.
um, is going to. I mean, last year this year it didn't take place, but I was going to be doing a workshop with a crystal sound healer. So she was going to do the bowls, and I was going to take everyone on a guided journey.
Yeah.
And then again, so we're similar, but we have different backgrounds that we work on. But
Mhm.
again, it's intermingling different things, and it's like with Graham and myself, Graham's a medium psychic,
Yeah.
whereas I'm not, but I use the cards, so we collaborate on that, and that is definitely, I feel, going to be so important next year.
I mean, I told you I watched your show, the 2 of you doing that, and it's powerful. I'm also doing some collaborative stuff that's come my way, and that energy, um, and I did it years ago, and it just didn't take at that time, and I think it's really sometimes I see things before they're supposed to happen, but it was a magical when you're anchoring in your own gifts and you're partnering with somebody who does something different. I remember her telling me she was giving the energy healings, and I was doing a guided meditation out loud and saying everything that the energy was telling her. And I mean, afterwards, we are just like, because, yeah, the conjoining of energy flow. I mean, yeah, it's magic.
Yeah.
And anyway,
It is, it's total magic. So thank you so much for those cards.
thank you for letting me do it. I
Ah,
appreciate it.
you're welcome. You need to do more of it now.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
so we just throw that out there. Yep, Susan needs to do more live card stuff. So
Great.
Susan, and even Sandy says the time is right now for it.
Yeah.
It definitely is. And even with somebody who makes jewelry, Sandy makes her beautiful jewelry and that,
Yeah.
and she, and obviously she's married to Graham, but obviously they work together with with that, and again, it's a collaboration of two different modalities working together as one.
Oh, I'd love to know more about her jewelry. Anyway,
Yeah, it is.
that's yeah,
It's good. So,
yeah.
Susan, do you have any insights or thoughts to leave our viewers?
So, yeah, I know your audience is pretty strong and are on the path, and there's always more for us to learn and understand. And, you know, don't be afraid to ask. Just ask, right? Raise a hand, look for that support, because there's always someone like me, like Rae, like Graham, like Sandy, anyone who's been here today. I think my friend Melaine showed up.
You did.
Um, yeah, and you know, we're all here to help the next phase of humanity, and we don't have to be alone. We don't have to be alone like I was in 1995. There's lots of beautiful people out there, and they'll find you if you're ready for them. And you just have to let the universe know. You don't even have to really ask a question. You can just say, I need help, and they show up. So just remember that you're not alone. And it is happening. These things are real, they're happening in your life. Believe and take the first step, the one that makes sense for you.
Perfect. Absolutely brilliant. And Graham had said, awesome reading, Susan.
Oh,
So,
thank you, Graham.
so there you go. So I hope everyone you've enjoyed this conversation and found it insightful, because I know I definitely have. So Susan, if people want to connect with you, how do they do that?
Well, the most The place that I frequent the most is Instagram, and that's at Heart Whispering Mystic on Instagram. But you can also reach me at Susan at heartwhisperingmystic.com. And forgive me, my computer is low, so I have to plug in. I didn't realize I wasn't plugged in. So those are the two main places, is my email and Instagram, and you can DM me there.
Yep, and what I'll do is I'll put the links in the comments so people can just click
Great.
click on those. So again, thank you, Susan, for sharing your wisdom. It's been absolutely brilliant having you on the show. So thank you so much.
Thank you so
Um,
much, Rae, for having me too.
you're welcome. Oh, and Susan does a podcast as well. Just thought I'd throw that one in.
Oh, yeah. Guided,
Yeah,
rebooted.
yeah. You got to put that one out there as well.
And Rae will be on it as well, just
Yes,
FYI.
yeah, exactly. Again, collaboration. Working
Yeah,
together.
definitely.
Uh, for it. So, if you have reached that crossroads in your life and you need some guidance in finding the meaning of your life and getting clear on your path, then I would love to be that guide for you. So, please feel free to reach out and connect with me, and we can arrange a free 20 to 30-minute video call to help you gain some clarity on where you are going and how you can empower yourself to take charge of your destiny. And of course, please feel free to join my weekly newsletter and receive a free future life progression recording where I take you into a future lifetime so you can get clarity and guidance that you can use in your current life, as well as a couple of other three free gifts. So thank you everyone so much for watching, and I'd like to invite you to share this video, as I'm sure there are more women who feel lost and want to get clear on their destiny just like you. And if you are watching this on my YouTube channel, then please feel free to subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified of when the show goes live or I post new guided meditations. And of course, I like it when people show me hearts and comments on my posts. And before we go, Graham says, brilliant show, ladies. Thank you, Graham.
Thank
And
you.
Sandy says, nice show. So, again, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you so much, Susan. And I will see you all and look forward to you all joining me again, same time, same place next week. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.